Hello, today I will show you how to make a heuristic scaffold check. This is a check that could be gate-kept, but most modern clients already bypass it and it will still detect older clients or bad ones. And this is like an example of all the heuristic checks you could make. So basically, when you're bridging really fast in Minecraft, so you're like breezy bridging, moonwalking, gut bridging, or even sneak bridging, but at a really fast speed, you need to use some sort of fast clicking technique, or like when sneak bridging, you can only double click for the placement, but you can never really click once per placement. Well, actually you can, but you just go slower. But however, there are some clients that only sends a block placement packet to place the block, so this can be detected. So for this tutorial or this series, if I make multiple videos, I'd be using packet events, but if you're using another packet API, the concepts should still be the same. You just need to get the equivalent parameters of the packet. So first create the class for your check and the constructor, and we're going to check that the packet is a block placement one. Then we're going to create the wrapper for it. And we'll check that the packet.getFace is not blockface.other, because the client sends blockface.other when you're right clicking but not placing a block. So first we're going to basically, if the client is placing a block, we'll make sure that the player is really bridging. Then we're going to store the ticks that pass between the current and the last block placement, and the amount of right clicks that weren't a block placement. So to check that the player is really bridging, there are three things that are easily noticeable. First, the Y coordinate of the player is higher than the Y coordinate of the pos of the block the player is placing. So we're going to check for that. So vector 3 pos equals packet.get block position. It's not just packet.get block position, because the client sends the position of the block we're placing on, and not the position of the block we're placing. So you need to do that offset packet.getFace. So we're going to check that the Y coordinate of the player is higher or equal than the Y coordinate of the block we're placing plus 1. The second thing that's noticeable when bridging is that you're placing blocks horizontally. When gut bridging, you will place a block with a vertical block facing every 8-9 blocks. But if you want to support gut bridging too, you can just add some sort of buffer for it. So we're going to check that packet.getFace is not blockface.up and is not blockface.down either. And the third thing that you can notice is that you're placing on the previous block you placed. So to check for that, we'll need to store the previous wrapper. So like this. And you'll need to make sure that last placement is not null. We're going to get the pos we're placing on, so the vector 3 pos place on equals packet.get block position, and the previous pos of the block we place. So vector 3 last pos equals last placement dot get position dot offset, and also the last placement dot get face. And now we're going to check that pos placement equals last pos. And one final thing is that when you're right-clicking with an empty hand at a place where you can place a block, it will actually send a block placement packet with a block face that's not other, so we'll need to make sure that we're holding a block. So check that held material is a null and that the held material is a block. And that's all. So now we'll need to get the ticks that pass between the current and the last block placement. So create an integer called ticks. And increase it every flying packet. And we're going to reset the ticks after each block placement. After we did the check though. And now we're going to also make an integer call clicks p for placement. Increase it every right click that's not a block placement. And reset it after checking. And now we can do the final check. So if a player is sneak bridging, he can actually bridge at a decent speed, but from my testing it never is under 6 ticks for multiple blocks. And if you're not sneaking, then bridging fast is really hard, so 10 ticks as the minimum delay is a good value. If I try to bridge without sneaking and by only clicking once per block placement, yeah, I'm going really slow. And I just fell. And now we check that ticks is lower than minimum ticks, and that there are no right clicks between the block placements. But now we're going to only flag if that happens multiple times in a row to avoid false flags, because the scaffolds that don't right click between placements will always fail this, and scaffolds that fix this will always right click between placements, so they will never be detected by this check. So we're going to make an integer called streak, and if that happens at least 10 times in a row, then we're going to fail the check. And if that does not happen, then we just reset the streak. So now the check is ready, and if on liquid, once the guys see I disable do extra clicks, it flags. And if I bridge legit by clicking fast, it doesn't flag. And if I only click once for the block placement, it doesn't flag neither because I'm slow enough. So this is all for this video. Obviously it may false flag. You could even increase that value more. And for the bridging and for checking if the player is bridging, it's not fully accurate, because if you're placing blocks like this, it could false flag after a while, because yeah, you see. So you might want to make a full method on your anti-cheat to detect if the player is bridging or not. So that's all for this video. Goodbye.